Hello everyone. How's everybody doing today? Today is Thursday, April 25th, I believe. I will hang on just a minute before I start anything to give you guys a few moments to get here. I'm just going to pull up my page so that I can follow along in case you guys have comments. I can see it here on my end. I better just make sure there's no volume playing on my end. And then that way, hi Ramona, how are you? Thanks for joining in. All right, I can see things up on my end. Hopefully that will stay all running well. I am going to show you guys a card that I have previously shared as part of my artisan design team assignments. I thought it would be fun to pull back in some past projects and show you the how-to. So I'm going to show you guys how I did this watercolor heart on some watercolor paper. Is that something you guys? I'm good. Not as tired today as yesterday, and my goodness, the weather's beautiful again, so that's always good. It's been lots of appointments again today. Hi, Cindy. Congratulations on winning. Hi, Linda. Cindy, and congratulations, Kathy, too. Hi, Kathy. So the two of you both guessed 68. So you guys had the highest guess without going over. The number of stamp sets that I have retiring out of my 89 in my annual catalog collection was 73. So I will have 16 annual catalog stamp sets remaining, but that's okay. I do have lots more others from the holiday that carried over, from the January to April that carried over, from online exclusives. So it's not like I'll only have 16 current stamp sets. It's just 16 annual catalog stamp sets that carry over. So that was definitely the highest number ever. And it was a bit of a shock. Even after marking my catalog with what was retiring, I didn't think it would be quite so high. So it's a good thing that Ethan was the one that marked them, as he was going through the catalog for me rather than myself. He had fun getting me to guess though, how many. So that was fun. I had fun letting you guys guess too. Okay, so I will do this card for you, and at the end I'm going to show you guys another artisan assignment card, and you can tell me if you'd like me to demo that one at some point over the next few days. Okay, so I'm Alanna Wharf. Hi, Melody. Sleepless Stamper. I'm in Winnipeg, Manitoba in Canada, and I am a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. So I'm going to demonstrate this card here for you guys today. If you would like a chance to win this card, you can share the video if you'd like to. There's never any pressure to do that, but if you'd like to, feel free to share and come back and comment that you've done so that I know to enter you into the draw. I'll be doing the draws for this past week, this Sunday evening, so that I can get these off in the mail for you guys. There is some retiring product on this. One thing is already sold out, so my apologies. But thanks guys for sharing, but I'm going to show you the retiring Be Mine DSP, the Sweet Sorbet ribbon, those are leaving, and the stamp set, which I've actually only used the greeting of, will carry over. So we get to keep the stamp set, but the coordinating elements are going to be gone. So if you guys like those, this will be your chance to get them. So let's get showing you these things. So this is the Sweet Sorbet bordered ribbon. It's nice and soft. Sometimes those ribbons with more than one color, or if they've got a border, are a little stiff, but that one's nice and soft. And I'll show you guys the DSP. I'm going to convince myself I need to buy another pack. It's probably what's going to happen here. But we have this pattern here with these really cute flowers. I love this one, which is fine because though I am using a couple of these guys, nope, different pattern. I don't mind these little bees on their own, fussy cut, but this is probably, I definitely love the flower side. So I'll show you guys all of these before I get into making the card. Hi, Rhonda. The days are getting shorter before we see each other. Do you get there early? We will be just arriving Monday. So this one here, another favorite pattern of mine. I think that one's adorable. Hearts on the reverse side. You guys have probably seen this paper lots by now. This one here is the one I'm going to fussy cut from. And then we have a nice yellow plaid. This would be cute for summer projects. So if you have something that you love, a good summer plaid. When I first started scrapbooking, this was like all the rage. I have so many patterns in this from way back then. This one here, we're going to use both sides. We need that swirly side, and then I need a jar of honey as well. So I'm going to keep that one out as well. Then we have this one here with the flowers on the front. I'm trying to flip these so that they don't make you dizzy. Yes, it's a cute stamp set melody and the punch, and then a nice stripe. I love stripes. I am a sucker for stripes, plaid, gingham, polka dots. Those are my favorites. And then we have this cute one here too, with the bees and the florals, and then the cute little petal pink honeycomb on the back. So we're going to move these aside so that I can get creating for you. All right, so we need this one and this one here. So I will set these, I have these ones chosen. These are the ones I'm going to use, but I want to do this technique for you guys first so that it can be left aside to dry while I fussy cut. I apologize, there's lots of fussy cutting today. Standard dates for, yeah, that's what we're doing too, except for our flight home is a little wonky. We get an overnight in Mexico City. That's gonna be fun. We have, oh gosh, like just short of 12 hours there. So I think we're gonna find a hotel and go sleep there so that Lennon's the only one that will be in school. Ethan's finished his last exam tomorrow. Yay, he will be so relieved. Anyhow, so Lennon has to return to school, and he has a musical that he has one of the like named roles in, so he doesn't need to stay awake overnight on our return home. Okay, so I have VersaMark refill, and this has water in it. So I'm gonna make a little mix of these to paint on this VersaMark heart. Did anybody guess that that was how I made that back when I created this card? If you saw my artisan post, it was shared on the Stampin' Up! Page, and then we shared them as well. So I wanted a nice soft watercolor heart, and it needed to be big. I wanted it to take up the front of the card. So I just got thinking that maybe it would work to paint on a heart with VersaMark, but the VersaMark refill is very thick. So I needed to thin it out with something. So I chose to mix it up with some water and then paint it on. So that's what I'm going to do first. Hi, Cindy, how are you? I hear your son has a big role in a musical as well. We're gonna have to make sure we come and see that. Very excited to see that. I won't name anything, just, you know, privacy reasons, but that's very exciting. So I've got a generous amount of VersaMark there. I feel like I'm gonna have to make more than one of these just to make use of this. I'm going to mix that together with a palette knife. I probably put too much water in this too, but I'm gonna mix it together really well, and then I'll check the consistency of it. Linda, you've made some really cute things with that bee bundle too. I think I have some white craft ink on my palette knife, but that's okay because it's just going on VersaMark, or I mean, sorry, watercolor paper, which basically is like a white, so that's fine. I'm gonna check the consistency of this with a paintbrush, and I'm going to mix in a little bit more VersaMark. You know what? Well, we'll try it. I'm gonna put a little bit more in. So this is why I say I might need to make more than one. I won't make you guys watch me do more than one, but I don't want to waste all this VersaMark. So we may just have to do more than one. I'll do another one later. So let's hope this works, everybody. Maybe I should have tried a second one before I decided to go live with this. I am going to just pull this all back into the middle, make sure it's mixed. Have any of you ever tried this? All right, let's hope this works. So I'm just gonna freehand this. So hopefully it works. Obviously there's some sort of reaction that goes on with it, but we're gonna see how well this works. Don't mind me being somewhat quiet while I concentrate on painting a heart onto here. And I have to go, I'm standing where I can see the light hitting my paper so that I can see that it is wet. Because it's VersaMark and it's see-through, or I mean it's clear, I've got to be able to tell from a direction where I can see the light hitting it. So I hope that makes sense. Now it may not be perfectly symmetrical, but that's okay. It's a watercolor heart, so it's not meant to be. And whoopsie, there's a little fluff in there. We don't want that on there. And I have clear powder that I am going to sprinkle over top of this. So I'm just continually picking up the refill so that I have a nice outline. I don't want it to be too thin so that the clear powder doesn't take to it. So now I'm just going over one more time in case any little areas have dried. And I'm just angling myself so that I can see again where the light is hitting that to make sure that my heart is complete. So it may not be perfect, but I'm okay with that. All right, so now I have some clear powder, and excuse the ink that's on my piece of paper here. I don't want to let that dry. So I am going to just do this quickly. That's clear powder again. And I'm just shaking that all over there. So I'll bring this closer for you to see in just a moment. Now I have a second little paintbrush here that is not wet. So this one here is not wet. I just want to brush off these little areas where I don't want that powder to set to my watercolor paper. I'm just going to give that a flick. So there you go. Can you guys see that? I'm just going to wait. So you can see that the clear powder has clung to my painted on heart that I did with a mix. If you're just tuning in, this is a mix of water and VersaMark refill. And then I just picked it up with a paintbrush and painted on that heart. So I have one more funky little line here that I don't want there. There we go. So now I can heat set this. I was nervous for a second there, you guys, that maybe it's been so long since I did this. And just with everything going on, I don't necessarily have time to do a new design every day, but I thought it would be fun to show you guys how I did some of the artisan projects. Let me know in the comments if you guys like seeing some of the artisan projects, how they're done, the how-to. It is painted on watercolor paper, Ramona, and then I'm going to do a watercolor technique over top of it after I heat set this. So I'm just going to set this in place now. So it'll be fun to see. Now, one second. You know what? I don't know if I want to. I can see there's a little fluff, and I'm going to try to get it out without disturbing the... There we go. That was worth it. There was a little fluff in there, and I don't want to see that once it's heat embossed. Okay, so you guys will see this transition. Awesome. Well, I have another project I want to show you guys, and you can weigh in if you want to see me do that one as well. Not today, of course, but hi, Shirley. How are you? When I'm heat embossing, I like to focus on one section at a time and then move my way down. I try not to just wave over the whole thing, and then that way I find that it typically embosses nicely. This takes a little bit longer because it is a thick amount of powder as opposed to a fine stamping line. So it'll naturally just take a little bit longer to heat set because there's more for it to melt. And again, I'm just angling this and watching with the way the light hits it to know that it has gone from powdery to glossy. There we go. So now I have a heart, a VersaMark heart. You could do this with any shape. Let's say you wanted a star. You could mix this up and you could paint on a star. I think that would be really cool. I feel like I need to try that now. And I am just I have some water here. I'm just cleaning this out right away. I don't want that VersaMark refill to set into the brush. So I just want to get that out of there. Sometimes VersaMark can really gum things up, especially with the straight refill there. So there we go. I've taken that out of there. And I'm also just going to wipe clean the palette. I don't think it would do anything to the palette because it's just plastic. You could wipe it off, but I just want to clean off that palette knife. So now I'll move this aside, but I could probably come back and use this later and make one more heart. Hi, Sandy. I'm excited to see you too next week. There's lots of exciting reunions that are going to be happening. Okay, so if you've just tuned in, I mixed water with VersaMark refill, and I used a paintbrush to pick that up and paint a heart onto watercolor paper. Now I'm going to bring in my Pool Party ink and an aqua painter, and I am going to paint some Pool Party ink over top of the heart that is on there. So first what we need to do is flood the paper with some water. Now this has some Night of Navy in it. I don't want that. That would not be the color that I'm going for. I am, excuse this, you can tell I've been working. I have a wet paper towel here from other projects I've been doing today. It's been lots of stamping going on. So now that I just want to clean this out one more time, make sure that I don't have navy in there. Okay. So now that I have cleaned that out, I'm going to flood this whole paper with a layer of water. So I'm going to just hold this down. And I am staying within about 1/8 of an inch of the edge. I don't want to go right to the edge. If you prefer that look, you can. There's nothing right or wrong about it. It's just personal preference, and I don't like it to go right to the edge. So I am staying within about 1/8 of an inch. Some parts may fall over the edge, and that'll just make it look a little more natural for watercolor. But you need to just get the paper wet so that when you put that ink on top, it doesn't seep right into the watercolor paper, leaving a big blob that's harder to blend out. That's what I want to avoid. So I am now picking up, I don't want this to be too saturated. So now I'm picking up that Pool Party ink, and I can paint that into, probably diluted it a little bit too much. So now I can paint that into the layer of water that I've already put on the paper, and it's going to resist where that heart is painted on there because that is already embossed. So now it'll create an emboss resist effect. Don't mind me while I see, I went a little too heavy in some spots, but that's okay. There. So that is the watercolor over top of the heart layer. I am going to let this, I probably went a little too heavy in some areas, but that's all right. Hopefully that will tone down as it dries. So I'm going to put this aside now and let it dry while I fussy cut these other layers. So I need 2 bumblebees. Now maybe I should have been nice and fussy cut these before I came live, So I want this one here. I'm going to just mimic this and do the same thing. I probably should have stamped the Be Mine, but I will come back to that. We'll do that after we get these fussy cut. So I was telling you guys the other day, when I am fussy cutting something or die cutting a pattern from a portion of DSP, I like to cut around it first so that I'm working with a smaller piece. It's just a lot easier than trying to fight with the whole sheet. And I'm going to just quickly check inside my package to see if I have a scrap of this that I can cut those little bumblebees from, so that I'm not cutting into such a large piece. And I do. So I'm going to cut from this one instead of this large piece. It just helps keep as much intact as possible. So I try to remember to check that as well. And then there's different faces. So this one here has the smiling face, and then this one here has the closed eyes. I like this one, so I am going to cut into here to get this one. If you have this paper and you're running out, you can always use the other pattern. It's not a big deal. I just have some of this one left, so that's the one I'm going to use. So we're gonna cut that guy out, and then let's see if there's another one. Yes, we have this one here. So I am going to snip into there to get this guy out too. I bet you didn't think you'd be seeing a Valentine's card today. It's not so much about the Valentine's card, but it's about the paper retiring and showing you this technique. So hopefully it's worth it to see a Be Mine card for those reasons. So bear with me while I fussy cut. Unfortunately, there are no dies that go with this one. We do have the punch that you can create the little bumblebee with. I wonder if anybody has come up with any alternate characters from the bumblebee punch. Has anybody seen any? Tell me if you have. I haven't played around with it too much to know. I'll show you. Here is the other card that I posted with this one. So those were my two projects when our group, the group of 5 of us, were assigned the Be Mine Suite collection. That was our January assignment. So I got to stamp with that one right away, and then I haven't really used it since. Got so many other things to stamp with. Hi, Diane. How many of you guys have the Be Mine Suite collection? Now you can see that I am turning the paper. I'm turning my scissors some, and this little antenna is a little bit tricky, but I'm mostly turning the scissors, the paper, and not the scissors. It is just a lot easier to cut. I'm gonna have to come back in and clean that one up a little. Can you hear the birds chirping outside? It's nice to have nature sounds back. I mean, there's always nature sounds, but some are nature sounds. There we go. Just a couple little pieces to clean up. You only made one card out of it so far. Did you get the DSP melody? We checked before I went live, and the only thing sold out from the suite is the cute little gems. I'm sorry, I'm gonna use them today anyway. I didn't want to have to come up with something to use in place of them, but you can still get, well, the bundle, of course, because it carries over, and you can still get the DSP and the ribbon. Again, my apologies that this is so much fussy cutting. I should have done some of this ahead of time. Of course, when you go away, there's lots of work to do ahead of time, and I've got tutorials that I have to write that are due before we go. I had one artisan assignment that was due the other day, and then another one that's due while we're gone. So I need to get those done, and then just some things for my own classes and stuff. Ryan is done his work for the time being until we get back. So that's good. Ethan will have his last exam tomorrow, then he'll be done. And I don't think he works until the end of the week that we get back. He'll be helping me prepare for our clear out online sale. So I'm sorry that this is so fussy. This gives like new meaning to the term fussy cutting. Oh, these little antennae, whatever you want to call them. So Ethan and I will be doing lots of work together that week to get ready for the online sale. If you are in the area and you want to be a vendor in our online sale, you can still be a vendor. The only catch is that because it is such a tremendous amount of work for my family and I, and it has to make business sense for me, the catch is that whatever amount you sell, you use to place an order. Hi, Terry. How are you doing? Oh, that's awesome about the birds and butterflies, Ramona. If you are in the area or close enough that you can get your stuff here to us by the sort day, which is a week later, we'll be sorting on the long weekend. Then you bring your stuff here. Everything you sell, you bring to my home labeled by the buyer. And let's say a buyer was to purchase 3 things from you, you would put all of their things in one bag, each labeled. And then we sort everything into the buyer's buckets. Then we cross-check their bucket and make sure they have everything they requested. Everything gets entered in a spreadsheet. And then we send the buyer their total. They either arrange pickup here at my home or we can ship it to them across Canada. Unfortunately, we cannot ship across international borders, but we can ship throughout Canada. And then because that's such an undertaking, we just require that all the vendors place an order. So if they're a team member, they order under themselves. If they are a customer of myself or one of my team members, they order with their appropriate demo. So we have lots of vendors and lots of things to choose from. So look at those cute little characters. I love these. I think they're just adorable. And that is toning down a little bit in those areas where the watercolor is. Now I have one more stamp to do. So I am going to stamp Be Mine. I think it's so cute, that one. I'll show you guys on this other card that I made. This here with long live vellum. Just kidding. It's this little piece of vellum here. I stamped this little image with VersaMark and then heat set that with white powder. So if you have lots of vellum and you have this bundle, don't be afraid to use that on there. I think it's super cute on the vellum. All right, so we're going to use Be Mine. And like usual, I'm just going to put the greeting face down on there. And then that way I can just use my block to pick it up straight. Now I need VersaMark, the ink pad, this time. And I think I might have left it in the other room because I was thinking about the refill and not the stamp. 1 second. My apologies, sorry about that. I was doing photography and I actually needed it for that. It had to be photographed in a project, so my apologies. Now Ruby's joining us here. So when you are stamping with, and you're gonna heat set it with powder, I always like to make sure that I use the embossing buddy. You wanna get a good coverage. I find especially with dark, like really contrasting colors, you wanna make sure you have a really good application of that. Now Ruby wants back out. Sorry about that. There you go. She's probably going to scratch on the door to come back in. Yep, there she is. Okay, so you want a nice coating. If you wipe this off first, it's not going to do as good of a job in removing the static so that that powder doesn't cling. So I am going to stamp this Be Mine. And now I'm going to coat that with white powder. I don't want to use the same piece of paper as last time. So I'm just gonna grab a different scrap. You can see that I need a new white powder. I actually have a brand new one. It was actually in the photo with the VersaMark. You guys will see that project on May 9th. If you watch for that, watch the Stampin' Up! Page for May 9th. We will be home by then, so I will share it as well. I'm hoping to share projects while we're away as well. So VersaMark and white powder, now I can heat set this again. So tell me what you guys think of the watercolor heart with the VersaMark heart painted on there. Tell me what you think of that, and then let me know if it's something you think you'll try, whether it's a heart or a different shape. I hope that it's something that you will try. Now, I don't like how that's stamped, so I'm actually going to stamp that. It's not as solid as I would like it, so I'm actually going to do that one more time, and I'll just do it on the other side. So bear with me. Sorry about that, but if I'm going to mail this to somebody, I want that to be nice and crisp. So I'll just do a better job inking up the Be Mine, and hopefully the mine part will be a little more solid. You need help with your glitter and clear embossing powder. Okay, so what do you mean by glitter and clear embossing powder? Let me know. So are you trying to heat set glitter to your images, or what are you trying? Hopefully I can help you troubleshoot. There we go. That does look more solid to me. Now I'm going to use this really fine brush again and heat set one more time, but I better pour this powder back in the jar. I still haven't strained it out, you guys. I will. I love that Sandy and Rhonda are connecting in the comments here. That's awesome. It'll be so nice to see both of you. You have a glitter embossing powder, and your clear is the one that bubbled all funny. What are you stamping on? And did you use an embossing buddy first? That was definitely worth redoing, I find. Okay, now I just need my little cutter because I need to cut down the Be Mine here. So you can see that I'm gonna snip this one right close to here. I don't need this one, so that can go aside. And this one, it goes all the way through. So I'm going to just measure that length there. My ruler's in the other room as well. This is what happens when there's like multiple rooms in use and multiple projects on the go. So that's about 2.5, and it is a little more than 1/4 of an inch. Aw, you guys are so kind. I appreciate that. I'm fans of both of you too. You guys are the best. We should all do a big stamping event together. Sandy came up and did one with us for on stage. That was so much fun. Rhonda, I think you're a lot further away than what Sandy is. Not that you can't join us, you sure can. So now I'm gonna trim some off the top and bottom so that it's skinnier here. I should be telling you what I'm doing as I'm doing it instead of just talking and doing. Okay, so we've got this. Now I want to cut that down a little bit more. It is going to be a fun time while we're away. On the last trip, we didn't see much of the boys. I wonder, like, I'm sure this time it'll be different because it's all land stuff. Have you guys booked what you're doing while you're there? We have not. I'm sure that's not a surprise. We just haven't had time. We've all been too busy to think about it with Ethan's exams and all the work Lennon's been doing. Okay, so we have this trimmed down now. And then I also need to trim one more thing. Usually I would have this prepped ahead of time, but I wanted to show you guys this. I need these little strips for this one here. And I think I told you guys that that was going to be the back side of one of the papers. So that is this one here. And you can see I used my little cutter to cut from here. That should be the right height there. So I'm going to try to get them from right there so that my pattern can continue the same direction. So we'll see what we can do with getting the two pieces I need from this little section there. And hopefully this will show you that you guys can get the most use as possible out of your paper. So I'm just scooting this with that little notch out there right past the blade. Now, if you were starting with a fresh piece of paper, you wouldn't need to do that. So if you're starting with a fresh piece of paper, you could just cut like a 5/8 strip down one side. I may have to only do a 1/2 inch, but I'm going to tell you how high these are. They are 2 3/4. So 2 3/4, this does not go the whole width across. It's 2 3/4, and you could do a 1/2 inch or 5/8 or 3/4. It's just a little piece tucked in underneath there. So I'm going to try to get both of them out of that little piece there. Okay, you're overwhelmed. Well, I'm sorry that you are overwhelmed, but I am glad that we're not the only ones that haven't prepared what we're doing there. You know, just be by the beach and don't do anything. We will be all placing orders, I'm sure, on May 1st. I know I will be. Got some customer orders and In Color Club. So now I am going to slide this over to, I can put this piece here at the 2 3/4, which is this line here. Oh, no, it's going to go back one more. And that should line up with this edge here. So we're going to see if I can get 2 1/2 inch pieces out of this. It might be slightly too narrow, but we're going to try it. How about you, Sandy? If you're still here, have you planned anything yet? Melody, you're probably cringing at us with your trip planning that you do. You're probably like, no, people, get it all in order. Okay, so let's see how wide this is. I think it's, yeah, I don't know. Let me measure. I think I'm going to need to cut another piece, but I tried. Okay, so this is, well, it's 3/8. I just don't think it's not going to give me enough room underneath so that, well, let's try. If we go just under, I don't know, guys. What do you think? Well, I'll try it. Let's see how it goes. I will dry fit it on the front of my card first. So before I glue anything down, I am going to place these here. And if there's a little bit of overlap, I will make them work. There is. I've got a little bit of overlap and a little bit of overlap, so we're going to make these guys work. So that is all you need. I would go with a 1/2 inch. I would not go down to 3/8 typically. So if I just have a thin reveal like this, all you need is a couple of strips. You don't need a piece that goes the whole width, especially if you've got, like, there's these cute patterns on the back side that I wanted to try to conserve. So just do a little strip. There's one more element I want to do to this before we put it together though. There's a little bit of splatter on the watercolored layer. So I'm going to move these over just for a moment so that I can add a little bit of splatter, and then we can put together the card. So I'll move this guy too. I need to bring back in, oopsie, I don't need to close that. I need that open. So I'm bringing back in the pool party with the little bit of refill that's in there. That refill might even actually, well, no, maybe not. I was going to say it might be there from when I made this project, but I use Pool Party a lot, so I doubt it. So I've got just a little bit of the Pool Party in the Aqua Painter tip. I'm going to use, I actually don't want to use I left some Night of Navy ink in there from the last time I was splattering with this. I'm just rinsing out the cap in my cup of water here, cup of water for stamping. It's not what I'm drinking from, but I don't want those Night of Navy splatters. So It's a good thing I saw those first. Sorry, I didn't have them cleaned out ahead of time. So now I can just splatter a little bit. There we go. There, so just a few little splatters. Now next time, see, I had Night of Navy in there from before that I just rinsed out. So actually I'm just gonna rinse that out right now. So I rinse that in the little cup I have here. And now next time I won't mix those in. It would have been kind of sad if after all of this I splattered Night of Navy on there. I would have been disappointed with myself. All right. So there we go. That is the watercolor heart layer with a little splatter. And now we can work on assembly. So this is the card I'm making if you're just tuning in. And we will get putting these together. I did actually, this will be no surprise, I distressed the edges of that watercolor layer just a bit. So I'm gonna bring my snips in to do that. And I'm actually going to dab that one. That is not going to soak in because it's on the heart. And I don't want to smear it. So I'm just wiping the ones that are sitting on the heart off. And I'm just going to heat set the others so that I don't smear them. So this will just help them set into the paper. Because I don't want to have, after all this work, I don't want a big smear of ink on my paper. Now I'm also being cautious not to aim this at the heart, because if you overheat your embossing, it will get a flat appearance to it. And I don't need to worry about it not resisting the ink anymore because that's done. I just don't want to make it look not shiny either. Okay, so now that those are set in, I can slightly distress the edges. And you can see the more it dries, the more those little lines disappear. So they should go away. There we go. So that is distressed. Now I can go ahead and attach that to this black layer. So I have some tear and tape here that I'm going to attach that with. You have the VersaMark Watermark. Okay, Linda, that's super cool. There used to be a VersaMarker, and that would be super cool to do the heart with. Then you don't have to mix the re-inker with water. That's even better. I actually still have some of those myself. So if you have one of those, that would be a really cool way to do this. But if you don't, then you can do the re-inker with water method. Hi, Lori, how are you? I love that you thought about that, Linda. I think I have like 5 of those left. I tested them all out. In January and February, I was trying to get through so many things in the studio to try to put it back together, the studio back together. And I went through a pile of markers and came across a bunch of VersaMarkers. I loved those. They were great for if you missed a little bit of your stamp, you could just fill it in with the VersaMarker, but we don't have them anymore. Maybe they'll bring them back, you guys. If you want them to bring those back, go to the sandbox. We have this thing called the sandbox. I think it still exists. And you can make requests. I need to trim just a little bit off the bottom. It is slightly longer there. I saw that when I was putting it on and when I was dry fitting it, but I knew I could just put it on and then trim that little bit off. So I attached it anyway. Now I'm actually going to glue these down first, and I can use my grid sheet as a guide. So let's get these in place. They are 1.25 inches up from the bottom. So we're going to attach them there. Now, Rhonda, what was just a smidge, if you remember? I don't expect you to remember what you were talking about a few minutes ago, but if you do, what was the just a smidge about? My apologies, I missed that part. If I missed anything else that somebody asked, just let me know. And I'm just heading back to the comments here. No embossing buddy for Melody. And you have one now. Yes, try that. Oopsie. And let me know. I shook my glue bottle while I was reading comments. And that was clearly too much. Okay, so I'm gonna line this up at 1 1/4. Excuse my claw hands here while I try to get that lined up. There we go, 1 1/4 up from the bottom. I'm using my grid sheet to measure that if that's off view there. Sometimes it's hard to see exactly what you guys see. So if you are not seeing the full view, I just used my grid and I went 1 1/4 inches up from the bottom. And I am going to do the same thing here, but I'll try to do it higher up. So 1 1/4 is this one here. Now I know that those should be at the same height, and I'm just going to pull that to the edge. There we go. So now those should be far enough in that this will hide that. See, there we go. So now I can dimensional this into place. I have my dimensionals beside me here. Did I say that it can be a problem to find things when you're working on so many different projects in different places? How far away? Oh yes, you're just a smidge further away. That is true. Linda, what shape are you going to try with yours? I'm excited to see how this turns out. Linda is such a great stamper. Linda makes a lot of cards. I am lucky enough to get lots of them in the mail. She is often the source of inspiration for some of the things that I share with you guys on live. I try to always mention that it's come from her. So maybe by the time, I won't say by the time we get back, not to put any pressure on you, but at some point, maybe you'll share a card with me that you try this technique with. That would be fun to see. So I'm dimensional, that's got dimensionals on the back. I am going to try to center this without getting my head in your view. There we go. Now I am going to, this is going to go just right up here. I'm going to dimensional this little bee and this little bee. They're so cute, these little bumblebees, don't you guys think? I think they're adorable. So we're going to dimensional those in place. All right. The artisan, talking about far away, the artisan design team members and I, we have this discussion going that we're going to do an artisan road trip because most of us don't know each other in real life. We're all over the world. So we're saying that we should go to the home office sometime. We should do an artisan. It would be on us to do it, but that's what we're hoping to plan. And like not just current artisans, any artisans. I don't know. So Diana Gibbs, you guys know her. She was an artisan long ago. We did an artisan reunion last year when we went to Norway. We didn't plan one for this year, but maybe we should. So I like lots of dimensionals. Don't mind me. I like to make sure that everything's supported. There we go. So we're gonna just put this cute little guy right here. And I can't guarantee that the placement of the heart is exactly the same because it's just freehand. But there we go. I still have, I think I was telling you guys yesterday about using your piercer to put your adhesives in place. If you have to reach underneath something, you can do it for this too. And I feel like I just heard myself say about like a boot. Do you guys ever travel and people tell you if you're Canadian that Canadians say a boot? I actually just heard that in myself. Did you guys hear it too? Okay, so we've got these dimensionals. Now I have not attached the greeting just yet, but we're gonna get these guys in place. And then we can get the ribbon and everything else. Okay. Now all these backings are sticking to me. These little guys are just adorable. So now this is going to go there, and I have the ribbon, which now I have to, oh, it's right in front of me. I'm looking in the drawer and I've already showed it to you guys. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to cut a little diagonal edge, which might be kind of tricky because I told you guys I have to get my scissors sharpened. So my plan is to leave them at the knife sharpening shop, or the kitchen shop. If you're in Winnipeg, it's D.A. Neal's. My plan is to do that while we're away. So I need to get there tomorrow as well. While they are, I think they're open on weekends, but the weekend's gonna be bonkers. So I need to get there tomorrow and drop off my scissors. I have 3 pairs of them. And for when we have in-person classes, it's useful to have more than one. They are for ribbon only, no touching paper with them. But you guys saw me cut open a package of paper with them last week or the week before, but they were in dire need of sharpening. So that's the only reason that was allowed. Okay, so I have the end of the black paper just about 1/4 inch in from the bottom. So I'm going to, I put a really thin tape on there. I am just attaching the paper, the cardstock with the black there. So now I actually need, that's got a little crinkle in it, so I don't want that. There we go. Now I can cut a clean edge on this side. There we go. Now this can go on dimensionals right over here. So you can just attach that to the cardstock, dimensional the whole thing. And what I need to do is, this is dimensional, so I actually need to do a double decker on this end and a single decker throughout. Hopefully that makes sense. I am going to use the black dimensionals again. Oh, I didn't use the black earlier. So again, I was using them earlier on a different project that I was doing that I was writing the tutorial for. So many things on the go. And I actually need to just adjust this a tiny bit. It's not quite straight, so bear with me. Good thing it's just a little bit of tape. So that is fine. Can just easily adjust. There we go. So on the straight end, I need a double decker. Stick one down, peel the backing off, and then pick up the next one and stick that down. And there we go. We have another Linda. Thanks for tuning in, Linda. So there we go. We're gonna just dimensional these. So now I can peel these off and stick this down. Have any of you tried since last week the triple tone greeting that I did with the Celebrate stamp from Happy Little Things? Let me know if you've tried that. I would love to know if you tried it. So this one is going down, lined up. Oh, that's not quite lined up. I need to line this up to the edge of the card. I've got to go a little bit lower so that I have room. It's hard to put things down straight sometimes when I'm trying to make sure that I don't stick my head in your view. And I can see that there is the backing of a dimensional right there, which we don't want. There we go. Do you ever do that? I have sometimes gotten as far as taking the photo of the project, and then I see that part of a dimensional backing is sticking out. Okay, so now we have the ribbon and the greeting. It's still a tad crooked, so we're gonna just, there we go. Now I can dimensional the little jar of honey. That's going to go right here. And it is on a layer of dimensionals as well. So I am going to have to do some double deckering of that also. So I'm going to put a double decker in this corner. This is a hand deliver card. This is not a put it in the mail card. but I guess I'm gonna have to figure out a way to mail it to whoever wins it, right? Okay, so now I'm gonna put the double decker right on here, and then that way I know that it is going to be, this one only needs one. So one decker here and a double decker here so that this part is at the same height. So now I can go ahead and attach that right in there. So now we have everything flush by doing the double decker here and single decker above the greeting. Now all there is left is to attach the gems. And again, my apologies that these are retired now. They have sold out, but I wanted to still use them. Hopefully you can hear me from across the room while I dig out my hearts and flowers. If you have these in your collection already, then of course you can still use them. We just unfortunately can't order them anymore. So hopefully you already have some. If this is a card that you want to make, or you just sub them out for something else. So I am using the pink hearts on this one. I've put 2 here, and then I'll just put one little one over here. There we go. Aren't those cute? I'm sorry that you can't still purchase them, but they're very adorable. So that is, hi Sonia, how are you? So are you getting ready for our online sale to come in a couple weeks? Just kidding, there is no pressure to be there shopping. I wish that we were closer in case you wanted to be a vendor, but maybe you hang on to things too. It's so hard to let go. So there is the card that I made for you guys for today. I hope you'll give that watercolor technique a try with the emboss resist in there. Yes, of course. And let me know if you do try it. I'd love to see what you guys come up with. So feel free to send it to me or come back and comment on the video with a photo. I always love seeing what you guys make. I received a huge compliment today. A fellow demonstrator who is in Ontario made a project with Encircled in Nature and was inspired by our artisan project. So I love when somebody is inspired enough to go ahead and create something, whether it's exactly the same or whether it's different. It's a huge honor to be part of your crafting journey. So thank you guys for letting me share with you and being inspired by what I make. I love that we can all kind of work together to be creative. So that's today's project. Again, if you'd like to share, feel free to. If you comment that you have, I will enter you in the draw to win this card. And if you wish to place an order, there's still lots of retiring products left. Lots have sold out, but there is lots left. If you choose to order online and use this host code, you will get a free gift with a $65 order. If you place a $100 or more order, you'll get the free gift and a free retirement party class, which will be after we get home. But I'm working on those projects as well. Those will be exclusive to the people who earn them. And you can still register for In Color Club if you wish. I will be posting DSP and embellishment shares as well. And I am aiming to have the information out for you guys for the lavender class and the Take to the Sky class before we go as well. So I will be back tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm going to come at 1:30. So instead of waiting till evening tomorrow, we just decided it'll be afternoon so that I could tell you guys today when it will be. So hopefully some of you can join in during the daytime. And then after that, we will have Saturday, Sunday to go live before we head away. So I hope you guys will be able to come back tomorrow. And thanks again for tuning in tonight. Bye, everyone.